welcome to the live. First and foremost, I pray wherever I am meeting you that you are doing well as we jump into this live today and talk about the lost art of hearing. First and foremost, before we even go deeper, for those of you who are joining me, feel free to let me know in the chat where you are joining me from. Are you in the UK? Are you in the US of A? Are you in Australasia? Are you in Asia? Are you in Mother Africa? Let me know inside of the chat. I see the emojis already popping off. Let me know inside of the chat where you are joining me from. Let me know inside of the chat where you are joining me from, so I can greet you as I meet you side by side with that. If you're joining me for the first time, if this is your first time joining me, feel free to let me know in the chat with the words first time. If this is something that you're here again, you're back again, feel free to throw inside of the chat the two words back again. It's a great pleasure to be with you guys on this live. We literally had it was 5 days of back-to-back lives over the last few weeks. And literally, that was absolutely amazing, sharing with you guys about the 5 focuses that need to be focused on in order to allow your freedom to come through rather than for it to be fenced out. But today we're going to be talking about something completely different. Today we're going to be talking about a lost art, which is literally one of the biggest reasons, probably one of the boldest reasons, most likely the biggest barrier to most people being able to achieve the level of success that they desire in their life. Doesn't that sound like something you may want to get a handle on? So if it is, feel free in the chat to write the comment yes, so I know that you're in the house and I know that you're ready to go. Now, with that being said, what we're going to do, we're going to jump straight into today's call because we've got so much to share and we have so little time. So let's take this quick moment to give you guys the opportunity. Let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. Are you in the UK? Are you in the US of A? Are you in Australasia? Are you in Asia? Or are you in Mother Africa? Let us know inside of the chat. Let us know inside of the chat where you are tuning in from. And as you guys do that, we're going to utilize that opportunity to push forward, push further, push faster in today's session and start breaking it down. We have Australia in the house. Zoe, welcome. Zoe, welcome all the way from Australia. What time is it over there in Australia? Let me know. Zoe, also thank you for liking the live. I see your like inside of the comments. Thank you for liking the live. But I'd love to know, Zoe, what is the time over there in Australia? Is it an exact opposite of the UK? So does that mean it's 10:43 a.m. over there? Or is it actually a specific different time? Let me know, 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 let me know. But first and foremost, congratulations and well done for being on the live. I pray you get tons of value as you're with us moving further faster in today's session. All right, for those of you who are tuned in, besides Zoe, let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. Let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. Let me know where you are joining us from. I love that. Zoe says for Queensland, it is exactly 24 hours apart from Europe. That is absolutely amazing. So great to have you in the house. So Zoe, that means it is literally 10:43 a.m. for you. That's absolutely amazing to imagine that that's the time over there. All right, guys, for those of you who haven't thrown it in the chat yet, now's the time. Let us know inside of the chat where are you tuning in from? Excuse me, nearly got confuddled there. Where are you tuning in from? Are you in the UK? Are you in the US of A? Are you in Australasia? Are you in Asia? Let us know, let us know, let us know, let us know. We have Rav again back. We have Rav again back in the chat. Rav again with his weird comments. His weird comment today is, give him a kiss, good night, please, sir. Samuel I Can Win will not be giving you a kiss, good night, sir. But if you are ready to go to bed, it's all good. You can sleep off it as well. All right, guys. So let's jump and hit the like inside of the chat. Let's jump and hit the like inside of the chat before we jump into today's session. Let me see some likes inside of the chat so we know we can push forward and go further faster in today's session, because today's session is going to be extremely different. It's going to be extremely impactful. It's going to help you move further faster in your future as we go deeper. So first and foremost, without further ado, let me say a great big welcome to you all. Welcome to the session. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We have a hey in the chat. That's a Norwegian flag, I believe. Whoever that is, let me know your name, please. It says Emile. I don't know, is that Emil? Let me know in the chat how to pronounce your name, how to say your name. I'm super old school, so I like just greeting people the old school way with their name. So let us know in the chat how I can greet you at that. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into today's session. Today we're going to be talking about hearing. Someone write in the chat the word hearing. We're going to be talking about the lost art of hearing. Now, you may not feel like hearing is actually a lost art. I'm here to tell you that hearing is a lost art. Hearing is the reason why most people's success cannot start, because hearing, unfortunately, in our generation is a lost art. Now, in order to get us started, I think probably the simplest, easiest, most valuable thing for me to do is start by providing a definition for you, because I think without the definition, what we're going to end up having is we're going to end up having people thinking we're talking about two different things. Okay, so let me start by saying this: hearing is not listening. Okay, I'm going to say that again in case you need to pick up your pen. Okay, this is a stylus, so let me actually pick up a pen in case you need to pick up your pen. Hearing is not listening. Okay, if you understand what I'm talking about, just write in the comments, I do, because hearing is not listening. Okay, and in a moment, I'm going to give you the specific definition for hearing, but I just want to start by saying this so you guys have it super clear inside of your ear. Hearing and listening are not the same. This is where we need to start in today's session. Thank you, Emil, for liking the live. Emil, let me know if it's Emil or if it's something else, right? You see, one of the biggest mistakes we make in life is we assume that hearing and listening are exactly the same, okay? But they're not the same, okay? All right, I will do. Thank you ever so much, all right? Emil, let me know if that's your name, okay? Speaking super slow, right? Let me know if that's your name. All right, so that means I probably won't be going my 1,000 miles per hour in today's session. Let's see. All right, we'll see how it goes. All right, so the first thing we have to understand, I see you, Emil, beautiful. I see you, Emil. The first thing we have to understand is that hearing and listening are not the same thing, okay? Hearing and listening are not the same thing. Now, the reason this is super powerful is because most people synonymize hearing and listening, thinking they're exactly the same. I'm here to tell you today they are not exactly the same. If you would like a definition for hearing, if you would like a clear, bespoke definition for hearing, so you have an understanding of what hearing is, just write in the chat, yes. And if I see enough yeses in the chat, I will give you my own specific definition for the word hearing, which will help you to move further faster, not only in this session, but also in your future, especially as it pertains to your success, your growth, and your development, okay? If you would like a definition, a clear, concise definition for the word hearing, just write the word yes in the chat. Now, so it said, this definition is not something you're gonna find in Webster's. This definition is not something you're gonna find in the Oxford Dictionary. But this definition is the kind of definition that will help you, as Jim Rohn used to say, move every which way but loose, because it's a clear, concise definition, the kind of definition that's necessary in order for you to move further faster in your future, okay? And one of the biggest challenges we have in our current society is most people spend their time listening, thinking that they're hearing. And as mentioned, hearing and listening are not the same thing. And here's the thing, all right? I want you to think about this. Imagine if you've been listening, but you've been thinking that you've been hearing. Okay, I want you to think about that for a moment. Like, imagine if you've spent time, okay, thinking to yourself, I'm listening, I'm hearing, but you're actually not. Let me ask this question. What would be the outcome of that? Okay, what would be the outcome of that? What would be the outcome of thinking you're hearing, but then realizing you are not actually hearing at all? What would be the outcome of that? Someone let me know in the chat, okay? Here's another question, whilst you guys are throwing the answer into that question. Have you ever had a situation in your life where you've said to yourself, thank you, Space Void, I appreciate you. Space Void, feel free to like, I need to say it now because if I don't say it, I'll forget. I usually forget. Guys, if you are getting value at any point throughout this live, feel free to like, feel free to comment, feel free to subscribe, and become a part of the tribe. Okay, on the different platforms, you guys can all do different things. So whatever platform you're on, feel free to do the things that you can do on that platform. Let's go. All right, Space Void just reminds me. Okay, and you can follow on certain platforms as well, so feel free to follow. Okay, now what would be the outcome if you thought to yourself that you were actually hearing, but in reality you were not hearing? What would be the outcome of that? I'd love someone to tell me in the chat. Let's go. I'd love someone to tell me in the chat what would be the outcome. Okay, so Space Void said, Space Void, first and foremost, let me know your name so I know who I'm talking to. It's always better for me, because I'm super old school, to address people by their actual name. So let me know what your name is so I can address you properly inside of the chat. All right, so Space Void has just said they've only just joined, so they're sorry if they don't understand the question. So I'm going to clearly articulate the question again for everyone if you've just jumped in, or equally if you want to pick up your pen, okay, for those of you who want to take notes in this live, right? So the question is, okay, I've said that hearing and listening are not the same thing, okay? Hearing and listening are not the same thing. And I've presented, and I will be presenting today, that hearing is the lost art which is stopping people from achieving success. So my question right now, my question for you guys, feel free to answer in the chat, is what would happen if you thought you were hearing, but then you discovered you were not actually hearing? What would be the outcome of that? What would be the outcome of situations, circumstances, scenarios in your life if you thought you were hearing what was being said, if you thought you heard what people were saying, but then you found out you were not actually even hearing at all? Welcome TJ to the live. Welcome Home Life to the live. What would be the outcome of that? Let me know in the chat, okay? And guys, today's live is gonna be a little bit more interactive than the previous lives, because the previous lives was a whole bunch of like teaching. Today's live is gonna be super more relaxed, because we've been asked all the way from Norway to make sure that any long words are said slowly. Okay, so guys, I want you to let me know in the chat your answer to that. Okay, what would be the outcome? What would happen if you're someone who said to yourself, you know what, I'm a good listener? This is a statement a lot of people make. They're a good listener, and they purport to have been hearing, but then they realize after a while, hold on a minute, I thought I was hearing, but I wasn't actually hearing. Let me even ask you a secondary question to go with this first question, okay? Have you ever been in a situation where you look back at an area of your life and you say to yourself, I should have listened. I should have listened to what my mum said. I should have listened to what my dad said. I should have listened to what my teacher said. Let's take a poll. Let's take a poll. Let's take a poll. Let's take a poll on this one, right? Throw it in the chat. Yes, if you have. No, if you haven't. Have you ever been in a situation in your life where you look back on an area of your life and you say to yourself, I should have listened when my mum said that. I should have listened when my teacher said that. I should have listened when my whoever it is, my boss said that. I should have listened when my spouse said that. I should have listened. I should have listened. I should have listened. Okay? Let's go. Okay? Feel free to throw your answers in the chat, guys. Yes, if it's a yes. No, if it's a no. Okay? Don't be shy. Samuel I Can Win doesn't bite. Okay? So, Space Void, let me know your name. Space Void, I'm super old school. I like addressing people by the name. Space Void says yes. I've been in that position before. Okay? And I can probably submit to you guys that every single one of us have probably been in that position before. So a good question would be, why? Why? What happened in that situation? Now, here's the way you can find out, you can start to find out what happened in that situation. First question to ask yourself, when you were in that situation, did you know the words that were told to you about that situation? The words you chose not to listen to, okay? Did you know the words that were told to you? So for example, right, you might have had a friend and you might have had a parent who said to you, imagine your dad says to you, this friend is no good for you. And what you did, despite what your friend did or not, you heard apparently what your dad said, but you still chose to befriend the friend. And then time goes on, the friend ends up becoming some form of a betrayer, and you look back and say, I should have listened to my dad? Has anyone been in that situation? If you have, put a yes in the chat. Anyone been in a similar situation, put a yes in the chat, right? And if you haven't, feel free to just put the no in the chat, okay? Because I'm close to confident that if you're 16 years old or older, you've most likely been in that situation before. In some way, some shape, some form in your life, you've been told or advised how to do something, why to do something, that you should do something, and decided to actually not do that thing. And later found out I should have listened. And this is the problem. We use this terminology, I should have listened, when really what we should have said is I should have heard. Okay? We should have said I should have heard. Samuel, what are you talking about? Komitima, welcome to the live. Thank you for liking the live, Komitima. Okay? Spaceway said, yes, I understand the words that was told to me, but I didn't really store the information and I ignored it. All right, this is perfect. Spaceway's got a perfect breakdown right there because this is super helpful for us. Komitima, again, thank you for liking the live. Now, let me start breaking this down so you guys understand what's going on. What happens, even though we say to ourselves, I should have listened to my dad, I should have listened to my mom, I should have listened to my spouse, I should have listened to my lecturer, even though we say that to ourselves, we are saying the wrong thing. And this is part of why we have the problem. Because if you use the wrong language, you can never get leverage. You might need to write that down with your pen. So just to help you, I'm going to say that again. If we use the wrong language, we will never ever get the right leverage. Okay, so let's start breaking this down. Let's start unpacking this. How comes when a family member, when a friend, when a parent tells you something and you choose not to listen to them, how comes 1 year, 10 years, 5 years, 4 years later, I see those likes blowing up. How comes all those years later, you look back and say, why didn't I listen? I'm going to tell you why. Because you have not learned the difference between listening and hearing. You thought you didn't listen. But I asked the question, if you didn't listen, how comes you know the exact words that were said to you? I'm going to tell you how you know the words that were said to you. The reason you know the words that were said to you is because you did listen. The reason you didn't decide to take heed to the words is because you didn't hear. I hope somebody's understanding this. If you're understanding this, just throw in the chat the words, I do. Let me know that you're understanding this because we've got a lot to unpack in today's session. So let me give you the Samuel I Can Win definition of hearing. Okay, and I'm going to tell you this right now. This is not a definition you're going to find in the Webster Dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, the Brown's Dictionary. Okay, this is literally a definition I've created because I realized that most of the definitions we believe in were created by someone anyway. And most of them don't help us because we don't see how they really actually apply to our lives anyway. Okay? If someone's with me, just write I am in the chat. Now, let's get into the definition. If you're ready for the definition, just throw in the comments the words I am. Okay? Let's go. Throw in the comments the words I am. Let's go. So my definition of hearing is this. Hearing is the appreciation, it's the internalization, and ultimately the activation of words, ways, windows that have been shared. Okay, I'm going to say that again in case you want to pick up your pen. Hearing is the appreciation. You need to appreciate what is being said. It's the internalization. You need to take it in on the inside. And ultimately, hearing is the activation of words, of ways, and of windows that are being shared. Okay? If you guys understand the definition of hearing, just write in the comments, I do. Okay? Now, why is this helpful for you? Why is it important that we start with the definition of hearing? I'm going to tell you why. Because if we start talking without defining, we are all going to be thinking we're talking about something else. Okay? Supreme Empress, welcome to the live. I'm going to say that again in case you need to pick up your pen. If we start talking without defining, we're all going to be thinking that we're talking about something else. So let's start with the definition so we can get super clear on what we are talking about before we start going deeper, without a doubt. It starts with understanding exactly what we are speaking about. What are we talking about? We're talking about hearing. Hearing is the appreciation. You have to appreciate the words, otherwise those words have not been heard. You have to appreciate the words, otherwise the words have not been heard. One of the things I teach my coaching clients, this will help you with this, is that you cannot learn from someone who you despise. You cannot learn from someone that you despise. If you see someone, okay, and you recognize that this person, you have some negative energy towards them, you are going to find it extremely difficult to learn from them. And if you despise them, I can guarantee you, you will not be able to learn from them at all. You cannot learn from somebody that you despise. If you guys understand this, just write in the comments, I do. I want you to think about how this works. You can only learn from people that you have a level of, let's use this simple word, interest in. Then we'll expand that. Admiration for. You can expand that even further. Have similar, like, or desired values. Otherwise, you'll have a problem with learning from that person. Okay? Now, if this is helpful for someone, just write me in the chat. Let me know if this is helpful for you. Just write me in the chat before we start going deeper. Because the definition is the foundation, so we can start jumping into the actual training and insights and class for today. If someone's ready for class, just throw the word class in the chat. So I wanted to start with you guys with the definition. The definition is hearing is literally the appreciation, the internalization, and the activation of three separate things, okay? And they can come in any of those ways. What are those three things? The first thing is words. The second thing is ways. And the third thing is windows. Samuel, what do you mean by words? This is what I mean. Right now I'm speaking words. And if you appreciate the words I'm speaking, if you internalize the words I'm speaking, and if you take action, activate the words I'm speaking, that means it's evidence you are hearing. If someone understands that, just write in the comments, I do. Okay, let's go deeper. That's words. Now, in life, we often get the opportunity to observe people's ways. Sometimes they say a leopard never changes their spots, okay? Like that's a slogan, a saying, which is talking about a person's ways, okay? Some people believe, I don't believe this, but some people believe that people can't change, okay? So what are they talking about? They're talking about that person's ways. So this is what I mean when I say hearing is the appreciation, the internalization, and then ultimately the activation of what we are hearing in the term of words or through observation in people's ways, okay? But then I've also put in this definition windows. Why are windows important? This is why windows are important. Because sometimes you don't necessarily see a person's ways. Sometimes you don't necessarily hear specific words, but sometimes we have a window into a way people operate. Sometimes we have a window, maybe even in our imagination, into the way people operate. If someone understands what I'm talking about, just write in the comments, I do. So this is my definition to start us off today to help you start to get paid. Hearing is the appreciation, the internalization, and ultimately the activation of words, ways, and windows that are being shared. Now, if you jump on this live and you listen to what I have to say, that might be of value to you. But I can guarantee you that if you jump on this live and you're able to hear, Samuel, what do you mean by hear? I mean appreciate, internalize, and activate based on the words being shared, based on the ways being shared, and more importantly, probably based on the windows being shared inside of this life. That would be of 10, 20, maybe even 100 times more valuable to you than those who listen. Now, here's something that just got uncovered, whether you saw it or not. What I just uncovered to you, whether you saw it or not, is why 100 people can sit in a church service, 2 people go away transformed, 98 people stay in the same form. What I just revealed to you, if you understood what I just shared with you, is how 1,000 people can go to a seminar, 20 people leave there as new people on a new path, about to create some new prosperity, saying to themselves, how could I have been the person I was before? But 980 people leave there and in 2 or 3 days are acting and operating in the exact same old ways. If someone's understanding what I'm talking about, just write in the comments, I am. I want you guys to see how this works. Because some of us, I'm going to be very transparent right now, some of us have been through certain circumstances. Some of us have been through situations. Some of us have been through scenarios where we've been in the room where the value's there. Annie Panny, welcome to the live. Some of us have been in a room where the value's there. And we've left the room and we've seen someone else who was in the room succeed with the very same resources, with the very same raw materials, with the very same report that we received in the same room. So here's my question, why not you? That's my genuine question. My genuine question is, why not you? My genuine question is, if you were in the same room, if you heard the same report, if you received the same resources, how comes they were able to go and make it rain financially like a hurricane, but you are still in the same place asking yourself why your life's plain? Why not you? I'm here to tell you why not you. It's a simple answer. It may be challenging for you to swallow at first, but it's a simple answer because it's the truth. And ultimately, according to John chapter 8, verse 32, it says you will know the truth. And for those of you who don't know, the word know in the Bible often speaks about intimacy. Adam knew his wife Eve and they conceived and bared Cain. Okay, I hope you understand that, right? Because most people don't understand that. Most people think that know just means, oh, I heard that. Okay, please understand, knowing is not about hearing. Knowing has a level of intimacy with it. And if you're not becoming intimate with something, guess what? You cannot produce off of the back of it. This is why the Bible can tell us in Genesis, Adam knew his wife Eve and the two conceived. They bared Cain. Oh, if someone's learning something today, just write I am in the chat. If someone's getting some value today, just write the word value in the chat. Because this is where people go wrong. You see, people do not go wrong in the execution. They often go wrong in the foundational definition. If you don't understand what something means, guess what's going to happen? You're going to live your life believing you understand what's going on with no idea of what's going on because you just don't understand the word we were talking about in the first place. If I say to you, you have to get to know the principles, and you think knowing the principles is having the principles said to you so you can say, oh, I've listened to these principles, or erroneously, I've heard these principles, but you've never practiced these principles. You've never allowed these principles to be appreciated, to be eternalized, to be activated. How can you expect these principles to work for you? I want you to think about that genuinely. You see, when a baby is learning how to walk, the baby doesn't get told how to walk and then believes it knows how to walk. But human beings, we run off to university and with very little certainty, they tell us a few things and with absurdity, we think we know. Oh, if someone's excited about the fact that the truth is literally coming out today, just write in the comments, me, okay? I want you guys to know how this stuff works, because if you don't know how it works, it's not gonna work for you. And then rather than you complaining and saying, oh, why is it never working for me? It's never working for you because you haven't ever taken the time to figure out how it actually works. And if you invest a few moments, minutes of time and figure out how it works, guess what? It starts working for you. And even if it doesn't start working for you, at least you know why it's not working for you because you now know how it works. If I'm helping someone, just write in the chat the word me. So let's start unpacking this. Hearing. The word hearing is not listening. Hearing and listening are two very different things. As you go forward in your life from today, please do not fool yourself into thinking that hearing and listening are the same, because hearing and listening are two different games. And when you understand that hearing and listening are different, guess what? You're going to have to ask yourself which one is of most value to you. Which one is the one that's going to push you through? Which one's the one that's going to get your success coming to you, rather than you trying to work as hard as possible, like you have been doing, and still realize it doesn't show up for some reason. If there's anyone who's had that experience, just let me know in the chat. I have. Because it takes transparency to have transformation. And for those of you who are willing to be transparent, for a moment or two, guess what's going to happen? You're going to open up the doors for transformation to come in for you. And that's the reality of life. The reality of life is most people spend their time complaining why things don't work, rather than taking a moment or two to figure out how things work. So let's start breaking down how things work. If anyone would like to break down how things work, just throw in the chat the word me. So we start with this definition. We start by understanding hearing and learning are two different things. Now that we know that hearing and learning are two different things, a good thing would be to define what hearing actually is, okay? So here's our definition of hearing for today's session. Hearing is the appreciation, you have to appreciate it. It's the internalization, you have to internalize it. And ultimately, it is the activation, you have to act upon it. As I often say to my students, action takers are money makers. Hearing is the appreciation, the internalization, and the activation of words, ways, and windows that are being shared. If you guys understand the definition, just write in the comments, I do, so we can push through. Let's go deeper in today's session. So that's the difference between hearing and listening, and that's our definition for listening. Now, if that's our definition for listening, if we now understand what listening is, and we can see listening is slightly different to what we thought it was. We thought listening was what Samuel's now saying hearing is. And this is why when my dad told me, don't go and play with that friend, and I still decided to go and play with that friend, and then I got hurt when I played with that friend, and I came back and said, why haven't I listened? I'm now realizing I did listen because I knew what my dad said, but I didn't hear. I didn't appreciate, I didn't internalize, and I didn't act on what was said. So there's a difference between hearing and listening, okay? And the reason I'm being so, I don't want to use the word pedantic, but the reason why I'm being so clear about this definition is because recently in one of the lives, I went through a specific definition on seeking versus searching. And one of the ladies in the live said, hey, Samuel, what's the difference between the two? So I realized, okay, Samuel, if you're going to share on some things, just define them. Let people understand what we're talking about so they can really go further, faster with their future. Okay? So a good question we should ask ourselves in that regard is this. Samuel, now that I know that hearing and listening are two different things, my question to you, Samuel, is what do I need to hear? Okay? What do I need to hear? Mustari Gems, thank you for following the host. Let's go. What do I need to hear? What do I need to hear? And what will be the value of hearing? Okay? And I'm going to share with you in today's live 3 major values you will get which will produce success in your life if you begin to hear. Okay? If you begin to hear. And we're going to be jumping straight into the Bible. I'm going to be pulling this out from the Bible. I'm not going to be making this up. I don't have the brain capacity to make this stuff up for you. I do have the brain capacity to go and find this stuff and share it with you. So let's do that. Here's the first thing we're going to talk about. And this is probably one of the biggest game changers for most people once they figure out how to take advantage of what I'm about to talk to you about. Okay? The first thing we're going to talk about, for those of you who are taking notes and those of you who want to have, you know, your notes all in one place, the first thing we're talking about is going to be leadership. Okay? Whether you're a business owner, whether you're a coach, a consultant, whether you're an influencer, entrepreneur, whether you're an investor or an educator, we're going to talk about leadership. Now, why is leadership important? Leadership is important because no matter who you are, you need to understand either A, who you're called to lead and how you're called to lead, or B, which is probably even more important, who's leading you and who's been called to lead you. If this makes sense, someone just write in the chat, yes. No matter who you are, you can be a 12-year-old child. Let me tell you a little secret. You need to know who's leading you. You can be a 54-year-old adult. guess what? You need to know who's leading you. Not only do you need to know who's leading you, it's also going to be very valuable for you. It's also been very valuable for me to understand who God has called me to lead. So it's not a one-dimensional thing about, oh, who's leading me? Now, I'm going to tell you a secret. Most people would never share this with you, but I'm going to share this with you. Did you know that most of the world's population have no earthly idea of who's leading them? Okay, if anyone knew that, let's take a poll. Throw in the chat, yes, if you knew that. No, if you didn't know that. If this is the first time you've ever heard that or thought of that, just write no. But if you're aware of that, if you're totally aware, Samuel, that makes total sense. Most people in this world have no idea who's leading them. Just throw the word yes in the chat. Okay. Now, and I can give you some examples. If you guys want examples, feel free to write the word example in the chat, and I can give you an example to show you exactly what we're talking about. Because if you do not understand that everybody's being led, everybody, there's no person who's not being led. Everybody's being led. The Bible has a very interesting verse. It says, those who are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God. So guess what that means? That means there's some people being led by the Spirit of God. But that also invertly means that there's other people not being led by the Spirit of God. So then the question comes up, who's leading them? I literally felt the light bulb come on for someone just then. Who's leading them? That's a great question. If those who are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God, that automatically means there's some who are not being led by the Spirit of God. So here's the question, who's leading them? Because everybody's being led. And here's the mistake some people make. Some people act as though it's not a fact that they're being led. Some people behave as though they're not a slave and as though they're not being led. Well, let me tell you something. If you're being led by someone that you don't know is leading you, you're most likely in a form of slavery. I'm going to say that again in case you need to pick up your pen. If you are being led by someone who hasn't decided to announce to you, who hasn't decided to get the message through to you that they are leading you, you're most likely in some form of slavery. I hope someone understands that. Fando, thank you for following the host. I want you guys to understand this, because here's the thing. Most people don't realize this. Most people live a life without realizing that if a true leader is going to lead you, they will announce to you that they're willing to lead you. And if you truly know you're being led, guess what you do? You sign up to be led. Okay, I'll give an example. If an army's going to war, all of the soldiers know they're being led by the platoon, by the sergeant, by the platoon commander. The platoon commander is either at the front saying, we're marching here, or they're at the back saying, you guys go march there. They announce that they are calling the shots. But what happens is we live in a world where leadership has become covert and people no longer know who's leading them. And what they don't realize is if you don't know who's leading you, the person who's leading you is probably misleading you. Wouldn't it be great if we took a step back every now and then, maybe picked up a journal and a pen and started to write down who we think is leading us? And more importantly, we could even take that a step further and write down who we would like to be leading us. There's so much I can share here. Let's jump into this, okay? For the sake of time, let's jump into this. So we've defined hearing, and from defining hearing, I'm sharing with you that if you get your hearing sorted, okay, let me say it like that, you will develop in your art of leadership. Now, in your art of leadership, what do we mean? Does that mean you're going to be bossing people around? No, leadership is not about bossing people around. Leadership is what every single human being is called to do in some way, shape, or form. Okay? Now, you might say, oh, but Samuel, I can't be a leader. I'm just little old me. Samuel, how can I be a leader? Nobody's ever asked me to lead. Well, let me tell you something. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 28, it says, God says, he's speaking, he says, let's make man in our image. Then he says, and let's make sure they have our likeness. So what does that mean? That means humanity. He then goes on in verse 28 and 29 and says, male and female created he them. So ladies, this includes you, okay? He was talking about mankind. And he was saying he made mankind to be in his image and to be in his likeness, which means like him. So if he's a leader, what do you think that makes you internally? Why do you think so many human beings have internal turmoil? Because they say stuff like they're not called to lead, let alone them, but inside of them, they have a yearning to lead people. They have a yearning to help people. They have a yearning to take people from where they are to where they're supposed to be. This is why we have a world which is so messed up right now, because most people are not operating in any leadership capacity whatsoever. Most people are being led by people who are deceiving you out of your leadership. So there's a whole bunch of misleading going on rather than true leading going on. If someone's getting some value, just throw the word value in the chat. So I know that this is making sense, okay? All right, now, let's start to unpack. I'm going to jump into the Bible. I'm going to read a few things. For leadership, we'll start with leadership because I think that's a very powerful, pertinent point to start with, okay? So in the cadre, in the area, in the vantage of leadership, the question we're going to ask ourselves is, how does hearing affect our leadership? I'm going to tell you how hearing affects our leadership. Let's get this up so you guys can see this, right? We're going to go to John chapter 10, and I'll read verse 27. We might get into 28 as well. Okay, we'll probably do 28. Okay, John chapter 10, I'm going to read verse 27 to 28. And I want you to understand as we go through this that your ability to lead in your life is going to be predicated by your ability to hear. Okay, Samuel, what do you mean? Can you break that down for me? Yes, I can. All right. I don't know who was asking that question, but I'll break it down. Okay. If you have an inability to hear, based on the definition I shared with you a moment ago of what hearing is the appreciation. So if you have an inability to appreciate words of value, okay? Hearing is the internalization. So if you have an issue or a negative stigma around internalizing words of value, for example, okay? If you're the kind of person, I'll give you an example. This is a super quick example, right? If you're the kind of person who's on a social media platform, you hear something like this, and inside of you, you're like, wow, something this guy's saying is really resonating with me. Like, I'm drawn to this. Like, there's something in what he's saying that is drawing me. Like, I understand what he's saying, and I believe what he's saying, right? So what you're starting to do is you're starting to appreciate, okay? Now, let me tell you what happens in our day and age, right? Because we have an attention deficit culture, even adults in their 40s, 50s, 60s are all plagued with the same hypnosis, okay? The hypnosis of the device, okay? So what happens is you have that internal call and that internal pull where you feel like you're appreciating what you're hearing. And then the next thing is your phone has a notification. And guess what you do? You don't let appreciation turn to internalization. If someone gets what I'm talking about, just write me in the chat. You don't let appreciation turn to internalization. So what happens now is you cut off your hearing ability. And then you become a person who only ever listens and never ever hears. Why? Because what we practice becomes permanent. Some people think what we practice becomes perfect, but that's not the truth. What the truth is what we practice becomes permanent. Okay? So if you're someone who's tuned into something, this is valuable, I'm hearing this, I'm getting this, yeah, and you start appreciating it, and then some flimsy distraction comes up, and you bite on the distraction. You choose the carrot. You see what happens? You allow your subconscious mind to be programmed and over time be trained to have an inability to hear because you continue to practice to only listen. I hope someone's understanding this. This is what is killing our generation. Okay? What's killing people in our generation is that they are perpetually practicing to listen and they are no longer understanding how to hear. Okay? But hearing is what's going to impact your leadership. Hearing, I don't even want to steal the thunder in terms of what we're going to share today. We've got so much to share. But hearing is going to impact the rest of these things. Listening is not. Hearing is. Okay? Now, if I'm helping someone let me know in the chat, Samuel, this is helping me, right? Let me know if this is of value to those of you who are with us. Okay? Let me know if this is of value to those of you who are with us. Um, let me know if this is of value to those of you who are with us. All right? Because I'd love to know that you guys are getting this. Because if you're not getting this, there's no point in us doing this. All right? Just want to make sure this is super clear for you guys to get this before we go deeper, okay? All right. Let me know, guys. Don't be slow to comment. Don't be slow to comment. Don't be shy. All right. Cool. All right. So let's keep pushing. So the first thing we need to understand is hearing and listening are not the same. We've broken down our definition for hearing. So now you guys know exactly what it is, and it's super plain. I've said to you that hearing, once you start to hack that, once you start to get your hearing game right, what's going to automatically happen the moment you start developing your hearing game is you are going to affect your leadership. Okay? So if you're going to affect your leadership, it will be important to understand how hearing and leadership work together. Okay? Now, most of the people that follow me, most of the people that tune into my stuff, they tune in because I talk about cash flow. I talk about how to make more money. I talk about those kind of things, right? But here's the funniest thing. If the stuff I spoke about was stuff I made up in my head, like many gurus out there in the world, that stuff might work for a year or two, okay? But after some time, that stuff will stop working for you. Why is it going to stop working? Because it's time-based, right? And this is the reason why I only talk about principles, I only talk about patterns, and I only talk about precepts that I find from a book that is an everlasting, eternal resource, an everlasting, eternal manual. Why? Because I understand that if I find a principle in there, it's a principle that's going to keep on working. Now, some of you might be thinking, Samuel, how did you get like this? I'm going to tell you how I got like this. I invested tens of thousands of pounds in course after course after course after course to learn how to become financially free. And guess what I kept finding? I kept finding that 90% of what they were teaching me was stuff I'd already read in the Bible. The only difference was I had listened to it when I read it in the Bible and I hadn't heard it. I didn't allow this thing to be appreciated, to be internalized, and to be acted upon. And it was when I started realizing how many of the tens of thousands of pounds I'd invested in all of this training with all of these people, with all of these strangers, and how it's all just not produced the results that I knew I could produce, that I started saying, you know what, I'm going to focus on doing what it says in the book. And as I started to focus on doing exactly what it says in the book, guess what happened? My finances decided to take a better look. Things started changing. Things started changing. My situation got better. I had a student loan. Sorry, private joke, right? I had a student loan. I've studied 4 degrees, so of course I had a student loan, right? I had a student loan. But bye-bye, student loan, okay? I used to live in a 1-bedroom home, okay? Let me stop the private jokes. But bye-bye, 1-bedroom home, okay? I used to be afraid to have children. I used to be afraid, okay? Guys, can I be this transparent today on this live? I don't know, guys. I don't know. You guys are being quiet on this live. Maybe I shouldn't be this transparent. Maybe I should just talk like I'm talking to myself for a moment, right? But if you guys are ready, if you guys are like, no, Samuel, you know what? Break it down. Be transparent. Tell us the truth. Pull back the curtain. Let us know how deep it was for you. Because, guys, I want to be transparent. There are people out there hurting. And you know what a lot of people are doing? They're just wasting time. Rather than really helping people. Because they know what it feels like to hurt. Because they've hurt before. Okay, a few likes are coming in now. So someone like that. It's people who are really hurting. Because they're going through situations, circumstances, scenarios that they don't know how to solve. And they understand that 5 more years of this cycle of sameness is not going to fix their situation. 5 more years of work, sleep, eat, just to work is not going to solve their situation. Some people have figured that out, but they just haven't figured out how to get out. That's where I come in. That's the decision I made in 2015 when I was waking up at 5:30, 6:30 a.m. in the morning and saying to myself, I've got to get to work when I still felt like yawning. That's the decision I made. I made the decision that I will find my way out of this treacherous cycle of similarity, of this treacherous, similar cycle of similarity. And when I find my way out, I made another commitment to myself. It was actually me and my wife that made this commitment together. And that commitment was, we will help as many people out as we can. Now, here's the beautiful thing I've discovered, right? I didn't know this when I made this commitment in 2015. In 2015, when I made the commitment that I will help as many people out when I get out, I did not know. Guys, if I can be super transparent right now, can someone just put the letter T in the chat? Let's see the whole chat fire up with the letter T for transparent. T for transparent. Let me tell you something super transparent. In 2015, when I sat down, looking at my wife, having a heart-to-heart conversation, and attempting to decide what we were going to do to change our situation, all I knew is I was going to get out of the situation I was in. That's all I knew. I just knew I'm getting out of this situation. I can't live like this. I knew I had too much potential to give up my life to this cycle of similarity. I knew I had too much potential for that. And if you're someone who's tuned into this right now and you know you've got too much potential for that, just write the word me in the chat. Do you know why? Because you have to activate as an evidence that you're hearing. You see, if you don't activate as an evidence that you're hearing, then you're just listening. And guess what? When you just listen, you don't get leverage. If you don't listen the right way, you can't get leverage for any day. Sandra, I see you. Let's go. You have to take a step beyond just listening, because hearing is your master key to success. But most people don't even know what hearing is. This is why I had to define hearing specifically in this session. Hearing is the appreciation. You have to appreciate what's being said. It's the internalization. You have to take it inside. You can't leave a valuable word outside of you and think it's going to transform you. Oh, someone just caught that. I literally felt someone catch that. Think about what I'm saying. We live in a world where so many people think they're going to walk past value and become valuable. Let me tell you this thing. I said put the T in the chat. You guys put the T in the chat. Let me tell you this. So 2015, I make a decision. I say, you know what? I'm waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm waking up 5:30. I'm trying to get to work at 7 a.m. every morning. I realize as a secondary and A-level math teacher, as a lead practitioner, teaching teachers how to teach, as well as teaching the young children that I had the pleasure and opportunity to be able to teach, I realized that I was being sucked dry. Someone write in your notes, I don't want to be sucked dry. I realized I was being sucked dry. So you know what I said to myself? I said, the only way I can change this is by making a decision to change this. If it's going to be, it's up to me. This is why when I go live, guys, I hope you guys understand. I'm not here to point the finger. I'm here to point the finger. Because I know what I went through. I know how hard it was when I went through it. And I know my story is not your story, but I know if I don't share my story, you won't understand someone's been through your story. So I said to myself, something has to change, and I can't expect the government to change it. At the time, I believe it was David Cameron, maybe at the time. Maybe it was Gordon Brown. But I can't expect David Cameron or Gordon Brown to change my situation. I can't expect the head teacher in the school to change my situation. I can't expect someone who doesn't know me to wake up and try to show me that they're going to change my situation. I could not wait for someone to make a decision positively about my life. I had to get to a place where I realized I have to make the most positive decision about my life. And guess what that was? That was to discover how to change. Let's go. Komotima says, I know what I need to do to activate it, but I don't know how to, if that makes sense. Yes, that makes sense, Komotima, but stay tuned to what we're going to talk about today, because you're going to have a light bulb to help you, okay? Guys, I want you to understand how this world works. This world works in a way where we have been deceived out of understanding how things work, so the things don't work for us. And all it takes sometimes is to take a step back and ask yourself a simple question. And the question you have to ask yourself is not the question you've been asking yourself. The question you've been asking yourself is, how do I do it? How do I change it? How can I get the better results? Guys, I used to ask myself the same questions. I realized I have to stop asking myself those questions. Let me tell you what a better question is. Am I happy with my results? Simple question. Why? Because it's a closed question and there's only going to be one of two answers. One is yes, the other is no. You see, the problem when we ask questions like, oh, how do I do it? Okay, is the answers can come in many shapes and forms. And then those answers become so complicated, we take no action. But if we ask ourselves a very simple question, am I happy with the results that I'm getting from life thus far? There's only two answers. There's either yes or there's a no. If what I just shared helps someone just put in the chat, helping me, helping me, helping me. I want you to think about what I just said to you. Don't complicate the process of rescue. This is what we do. We complicate our rescue mission. And because we complicate it, we can't become rescued. Ask yourself a simple question. Am I happy with my results? If your answer is no, guess what you're going to have to do? Let me break it down for you. Okay, let me make this super simple. Okay. If I say to you that 5 plus 2 equals my favorite number, that's 7. Okay. And I ask you, are you happy with this result? What's the result? The result in this case is 7. If you say you're unhappy with this result, what do we need to do, guys? Someone tell me in the chat. Just think about this, guys. I used to teach secondary and A-level maths, and my youngest students, my year 7 students, 11, 12-year-olds would be able to figure this out if I laid it out for them like this. Why? Because I realized we have learned to complicate our rescue mission. And we don't need to complicate our rescue mission. Comitimo's got it. We don't need to complicate our rescue mission. Guess what we need to do? We just need to help ourselves. How do you help yourself? Ask yourself a simple question. What's a simple question? Am I happy with my current results that I'm getting from life? It's a closed question, and you are either going to have a yes or a no. Just like 5 plus 2 equals 7. 7 is the result. Are you happy with 7 as your result? If your answer is no, I'm not happy with 7, guess what we get to do? Guess what we get to do? Guess what we get to do? Let me tell you what we get to do. We get to change something. We get to say, okay, I don't want 2 anymore. I'm going to turn the 2 into 5. Now I've got 5 plus 5, and that equals to 10. Here's my new question. Am I happy with my results? Oh, someone's catching this. This is why the world's messed up. Because people are asking themselves complicated questions about simple situations. Now, I'm going to say something because most of you have no idea what I'm talking about, right? Most of you aren't some of my high-level coaching clients. You have no idea what I'm talking about. So let me explain it to you. I didn't just say we have no idea because we ask ourselves hard questions about easy situations. I did not say that. I did not say that. I did not say that it's easy. What I said is we ask ourselves complicated questions about simple situations. Okay, now here's a question. Do you understand the difference between simple and easy? Because they're not the same. They're not the same. When you go to the gym to work out, it is simple to know how to work out. But that doesn't mean it's easy. That doesn't mean it's easy. But let me tell you what we do. We think about how hard it is instead of focusing on how simple it is. We think about how hard it is to run on the treadmill for 60 minutes instead of thinking about how simple it is to run on the treadmill for 60 minutes. We think about how hard it is to change the game and get in a new financial lane instead of thinking about how simple it is. And this is why people spend all of their time listening and spend none of their time hearing. And this is why people are in the same place financially and ask themselves, when is it going to change for me? If we should go deeper, someone write in the chat the word deeper. If we should go deeper, someone write in the chat the word deeper. Hearing is the appreciation, the internalization, and ultimately the activation of words, ways, and windows that have been shared. So what does that mean? That means if I get good at appreciating, at internalizing, and at activating words that are of value to me, ways that are of value to me, and windows, they may be windows of opportunities, they may be windows of observation, but windows that have been shared with me, my whole life will change. How will your life change? It will change in multiple different ways. Let's talk about the first way it will change. One of the most powerful ways it will change is in terms of leadership. Okay, let's read a Bible verse to help you understand this. This Bible verse we're going to read is in John chapter 10. I'll read verse 27 and then I'll read verse 28. Okay, John chapter 10, we're going to read verse 27 and verse 28. I want you to see this for yourself. Okay, I don't want to just make this up. I want you to see this for yourself. Okay, Zach says, hi uncle, you give really good advice. I will continue to share your content with others. Thank you ever so much, Zach. And guys, before I forget, if you are getting value from this, feel free to do what I'm sure Komutima is doing. Hit that like, all right? Hit the share. Show someone out there that you truly care by allowing them to hear what we're talking about in here, okay? If you're on one of those platforms where you can subscribe, be sure to subscribe. If you're on one of the platforms where you can follow, be sure to follow, so that this message can go inside instead of just be hollow. Let's go. All right? Let's go. Okay? Dr. Atom says, Zach, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Let's share. Let's go. All right? Let's go deeper, guys. Let's go deeper. We've got so much more to unpack. If someone wants us to go deeper, just write in the chat the word deeper. Let's go. I'm in John chapter 10. I'm reading verse 27 and 28. Please hear this. It says, my sheep hear my voice. Interesting choice of words. How comes Jesus didn't say, my sheep listen to my voice? Because Jesus understood that his sheep are going to trigger appreciation for what he has to say, internalization of what he has to say, and ultimately activation of what he is going to say in the form of words, in the form of his ways, and in the form of windows that get shared. I hope someone's catching this. I hope someone's seeing how potent this may be for your future. I hope someone's recognizing, wow, Samuel, you know what? You just changed my game. You put me in a brand new lane, and now my life will never ever be the same. Oh, let's go. We're nearly at 3,000 likes, guys. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's see if by the end of today's live, I'm going to put a very bold target out there. Let's go for 20,000 likes on today's live. Let's go. Okay. Now I got to give you the value. Otherwise you ain't going to hit the like. So let's do this. John chapter 10 verse 27. My sheep hear my voice. Listen to what he says as the result of them hearing his voice. And I know them. Now, what does know mean? I shared this earlier. The word know is not what you think it means. Most people think the word know means acknowledge, but the word know does not mean acknowledge, right? The word know does not mean awareness. What does the word know mean? Well, in the Bible, if you are someone who's followed any Bible scholars or biblical scholars, what do biblical scholars do? They use a rule called the law of first mention. Someone write in the chat the word first. Let's go. Dr. Atom, thank you for the badge, right? So they use a law called the law of first mention. What is the law of first mention? The law of first mention, Komutima, thank you for the badge. The law of first mention is when you go and search the first time a term is used to understand what that term means. Now, one of the first times the word know shows up in the Bible, if you want a definition and you want to know, is the paraphrase that I gave earlier. In the book of Genesis, it says, and Adam knew Eve and they conceived. So what does that tell you about knowing? It tells you that knowing is evidenced in what it produces. Oh, someone's going to catch this. Knowing is evident in what it produces. So you think you know how to make your finances grow, but nothing's been produced. So what does that mean? I'm sorry. I felt you. I felt you answer that question. It means you don't know. It means you don't know. And to be honest with you, maybe I don't want to be the person to tell you, but I'm glad that I'm the person to tell you that if you are not happy with the results you're getting, then something has to change. Unless you're going to commit to keep getting. This is the way it works. Let's stop fooling ourselves. Let's stop saying, one day, my manager is gonna check. Guys, guys, can we do, listen, I told you guys I used to be a math teacher, right? Can we do a very quick breakdown that I think is going to help every single one, right? If we can, just write yes in the chat, okay? Just write yes in the chat. Comitima says, for one to say that they know, there should be evidence. 100%, according to the Bible. Anyway, let me just put it that way. According to the Bible. Why according to the Bible? Because the law of first mention shows us that when Adam knew Eve, she conceived, and they bore a child. So productivity, production, is the fruit of knowledge. This is why when they say knowledge is power, knowledge is power, knowledge is power, they've been scamming us for more than an hour. Because if knowledge is power, what you need to actually do is tell me what knowledge actually means to you. Don't just tell me knowledge is power. What does knowledge mean? Because if I don't understand what knowledge means, I'll be telling the world knowledge is power and never have any power. But if you desire to have power, when you first discover that knowledge is power, find out what knowledge actually is. To know, I'm going to give you a word that you might not be familiar with putting together. To know is to be intimate with something. Adam knew his wife, Eve, and they conceived. To know is to be intimate. So Jesus says here in John 10:27, he says, my sheep know my voice. They hear my voice. What does that mean? Oh, someone's catching this. Comitima's got this. There's an intimacy between the leadership capacity of the sheep of this Jesus and his words. Oh, let's go back in. Someone's getting value. John 10, verse 27. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Which, in a nutshell, means there's intimacy. Let's go to verse 28. Watch this. It says, and I give unto them. Okay, so what's the give unto them? That's the production. The intimacy produces something. The intimacy is not just for the sake of intimacy. Oh yeah, I like you, so I'm going to get to know you. Oh, I like your words. Oh, I like your ways. Oh, I like your words. Oh, I like your ways. Oh, I like your windows. No. I'm intimate with your words, we produce something. I'm intimate with your ways, we produce something. I'm intimate with the windows that you allow me to see through, we produce something. If someone's getting this, just write in the comments, I'm getting it. John 10, 27, 28, 27. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Us following him. Do you know what that is? Good night, good people. Welcome, Dr. Diane. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for your greetings. Let's go. So what we see here is he's saying, my sheep hear me, not they listen to me. This is why hearing is your fastest path to success. Thank you for the heart me. Let's go. Badges in session. He says, my sheep hear me. So hearing is obviously, as we've shared, different to listening. The problem many of us have had is we've spent all our life listening and much of our life not even understanding what hearing is. You can listen your way through a degree. You can listen your way through a church sermon. You can listen your way through a book. But you cannot hear your way through anything without something changing. Please understand this. This is what I shared earlier. You can jump on a live like this. You can say, you know what, this is valuable. This is valuable. And then a little notification comes up on your device and you're gone. Do you know why? Because you weren't hearing, you were just listening. What's the difference? Hearing is the appreciation. That means you have to appreciate it. If you appreciate something, guess what? You don't run off because of a simple distraction. Hearing is the internalization. Listen to this. If you internalize something, you can't just pull out the plug because of a distraction. Hearing is the appreciation, internalization, but ultimately the activation of words, ways, or windows that are being shared. So when you hear words that are valuable to you, You can tell if you're hearing based on what those words are doing to you. Am I appreciating these words? Am I saying to myself, you know what, listen, I usually go to bed at this time, but this is so good, I can't go to bed. This is so right. This is so ripe. I was going to say ripe. Let me go to the right. This is so ripe. It's ready to eat now. I need to consume this now, regardless of my standard same old routine. I see those emojis. Let's go. I want you guys to understand how this works. We're living in a world where people don't know how things work, and then they're complaining that they don't work for them. Well, why don't you take some time and figure out how things work so that they can start to work for you? Oh, if we should go deeper, someone write in the chat the word deeper. Let's go. John 10, 27, 28. My sheep hear my voice. Keyword hear. Someone write in the chat the word hear. And I know them. Keyword, word know. Someone write in the chat the word know. Know is to be intimate with. It is not about acknowledgement. And they follow me. The production of them hearing is they follow. They have direction. Imagine I want you to think about that for a moment. Imagine if you got better at hearing and your pathway started clearing. Oh, someone caught that. It said, my sheep hear my voice. He says, and I know them. And then he says, and they follow me. So there's an appreciation with their hearing. There's an internalization with their hearing. And then at the end of the verse, we see the activation of their hearing. They follow him. Why is this important? Let me tell you why this is important. Most people in life are suffering from lack of direction. They're suffering from some shape or form of a lack of leadership. What are we discovering here? We're discovering that if you're lacking the direction, it's actually because you're lacking a connection. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. The product of hearing is your pathway starts clearing. Oh Lord, let's go. I think that should have got us to 4,000 likes at least. Let's go. The process of hearing has a byproduct and an outcome of your pathway clearing. Let's go deeper. Verse 27, my sheep hear my voice and I know them and they follow me. 28, and I give, so because I know them, I'm intimate with them, there's a whole nother thing that comes out. Christ's way says facts. Let's go. What's the other thing that comes out? Verse 28, excuse me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish. Neither shall any pluck them out of my hand. How comes nobody can pluck them out of his hand? I can tell you why. Because when they started hearing, their pathway started clearing. They started being able to see the truth from the lies. So that was averting them from having demise. You see, we live in a world where people are failing because they can't see the difference between truth and lies. Samuel, what do you mean? I mean, if you go check John 8:32, couple chapters before where we're at right now, before the chapter I'm sharing with you, it says, and you will know the truth. Listen to this, listen to this. Hopefully this is going to fascinate someone. I got to quench my thirst for this. Please listen to this. In John chapter 8, verse 32, it says something life-changing. It says, and you, someone write in the chat, me, and you, okay? You see, the problem sometimes when we read this Bible and we find these secrets is we think these secrets are for someone else. Someone write in the chat, me. Someone get some activation in the chat for this conversation, right? Someone put me in the chat. Listen to this. You will know the truth, according to John 8:32. But listen to this second part, because someone ain't ready for this. And the truth will make you free. You see, here's the problem we have. People think that verse says, you will hear, you will know, you will listen to the truth, and you will make yourself free. Oh, I'm going to say it again in case you need to pick up your pen. Most people think that verse says, you will know the truth and you will make you free. But the verse does not say that to you. The verse has never said that to me. The verse says you, someone write in the chat the word me. The verse says you will know the truth and who will do the heavy lifting. The verse says you will know the truth and who will launch the rocket launcher. The verse says you will know the truth and who does it say will clear the way. It doesn't say you will know the truth and you will make you free. It says you will know the truth and the truth does the hard work. This is why most people's lives don't work. Most people's lives are broken, busted and disgusted because they think when they hear the truth, they're going to go and make themselves free. They haven't realized the purpose of them hearing the truth is that the truth does the heavy lifting. The truth is what makes you free. Let's go. Christ's way says, and why exactly is the truth? Question mark. Let us know. Okay, there we go. Christ's ways articulated the question a different way. And what exactly is the truth? We're going to go into that. We're going to go into that. We're definitely going to go into that. Fasten your seatbelts, guys. So what have we discovered today? We've discovered 3 layers of things so far. And now I've got 3 more to share with you. We've discovered, first and foremost, let's go all the way back. We discovered that hearing and listening are not the same thing. That's where we started. And then I defined for you what hearing actually is. Hearing is not voices in a room and you come out and say kaboom. Hearing is the appreciation, the internalization, and the activation of words, ways, and windows that have been shared. I want you guys to think about this. This is why most of us can say, there was a time that someone told me I should or shouldn't do something, and I still went on to not do what they said. And what most people do is after they say, oh, why didn't I listen? They didn't realize you did listen. How do I know you listened? Because if I ask you what that person said, you'll be able to articulate it clearly. So you listened to what they said, but you didn't hear what they said. Samuel, how do you know I didn't hear what they said? Because hearing is the appreciation. You didn't appreciate what they said. It's the internalization. You didn't internalize what they said. And it's ultimately the activation of what you have encountered in the form of words, in the form of ways, and in the form of windows. If this is making sense to someone write in the chat, me, so I know this is making sense to you. Aframiko, welcome to the live. Great to have you back. Okay? You see, you have to understand. If you don't understand the terminology, you can't even start the journey. Because what you're going to do is you're going to attempt to make things work with broken foundations. So we have to start with the definition so we understand what we're talking about. So hearing and listening are not the same thing. I've now defined hearing for you. For those of you who understand what hearing is right now, let's hit those likes. Let's hit those likes. Let's hit those likes. Let's hit those likes. Let's hit 5,000 likes real quick. Let's go. Now that you guys understand, okay? I love this. Sunrise says a great question. Isn't it the other way around? Okay? And the answer is most people think that, Sunrise. That's why most people's lives don't work. Okay? Now, here's how we can answer Sunrise's question easily. Okay? Most people think that listening is when you pay enough attention. Okay? Well, here's the question. How many people control most of the wealth in the world? Some people say it's 2%. How many people are struggling on the struggle bus in the world? Most people say it's 98%. Who's the majority? Struggle bus. What do they believe? They're listening. I hope this is making sense, guys. Guys, let me give you something. It's not even in my notes. I think this is going to help you. Okay? If someone wants some help, right? Not even in my notes. Just write in the chat. Help, 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 help. Let me show you something. Let me show you something that will help you today. even beyond the notes. Okay, no help. All right, let's move on. That's fine. You guys don't want the help. So we then shifted over and we said that there's major levels that develop in your life when we start focusing on hearing. Okay? There's major levels that develop in your life when we start focus on hearing. The first level that will develop in your life when you start focusing on hearing is leadership. Okay? Now leadership is not what most people think it is, right? But we read John chapter 10, verse 27 to 28, and what did it reveal to us? It revealed to us, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. So what do we discover there? We discover something super simple there. We discover that when we start hearing, our path starts clearing. This is why some people in life know exactly where they're going. And if you haven't discovered this yet, as Jim Rohn used to say, when your vision is clear, you can take swift steps. But when your vision in life is unclear, you take hesitant steps. You see, the reason some people are living life so slowly is because every step is a hesitant step. Every step is I don't want to fall in this pit. I don't want to fall in this drain. I don't want to make a mistake. Because your path's not plain. If someone's getting what I'm talking about, just write in the chat, I'm getting it. When your vision is clear, you take bold steps. When your vision is unclear, you take hesitant steps. Most people are taking hesitant steps through their life. Let's go, Caitlin. I see you. Most people are taking hesitant steps through their life. Why? Because when we start hearing, our pathway starts clearing. Someone write in the chat the word clearing. C-L-E-A-R-I-N-G. When we start hearing, our pathway starts clearing. And this is the problem. Most people's pathways aren't clear because they have not developed the art of being able to hear. So if you want your pathway to become clear, all you have to do is develop the art of being able to hear. Someone write in the chat the word hearing. What is hearing, Samuel? I've defined it before. I'll define it again just in case you want to pick up your pen. Hearing is the appreciation, internalization, and ultimately the activation of words, of ways, and of windows that we are exposed to. You can tell when you are hearing. Why? You activate something. You do something different. You take steps you haven't taken before. Oh, guys, let's go. We hit it. 5,000 likes, all right? The goal is 20 for this live. Let's see what we're going to do. Guys, let me say this. The goal of this live is 20,000 likes. Someone write in the chat 20,000, okay? And then let's see what we do. Let's see if we're hearing on this live, okay? This is a little social experiment, okay? Let's go. Factors TV says hearing. Okay, you guys are with me. Let's go. All right? Christway says 20,000. I love that. They actually wrote the whole thing out, okay? All right, Christway's got it. I love this. Book of Psalms. The word is the lamp to my feet and the light to my path. I like that, okay? I like that. You guys said you didn't want the help earlier, so I couldn't give you the help. So let's go. Okay, I love this. I love this. This is good. You guys are tracking. All right, let's go deeper now. So the first thing that gets upgraded when we start hearing is our ability for leadership. Our ability to know who's leading us and know who we're supposed to lead. Now, if you're someone who's been following me for a while, and you've been following me for my primary content on teaching people how to create consistent and then colossal cash flow using resources and revenues hidden in plain sight, you will know that leadership is important. Why is leadership important? Because if you are being led by someone who's leading you astray, the Bible says if the blind lead the blind, they all fall in the ditch. If you are being led by someone who's leading you astray, Christway, thank you for following the host. if you are being led by someone who's leading you astray, you're going to fall into the ditch at some time in some way. Why is that going to happen? I'm going to tell you why it's going to happen. Sunrise, thank you for following the host. The reason that's going to happen is because you're being led astray. You're being misled. Someone's leading you who you didn't know was leading you. This is why it's super important. Comatima, thank you for the badge. This is why it's super important to understand who is leading you. And how can you understand who's leading you? By activating and developing your ability to hear. When we develop our ability to hear, everything on our path becomes more clear. Let's go, right? Let's go. Let's go to 20,000 likes, guys. Let's go. Wait, guys, are we en route or are we not en route? Let's go. So the first thing that happens that we get to develop is our leadership. The next thing is one of my favorite things. You guys should know this because I'm live all the time doing this. The next thing we get to develop when we develop our hearing is develop our learning. Learning. Now, most of you who are on this live, I haven't seen anyone who's on this live who's been in one of my trainings yet. So it looks like you're all kind of new to my world, maybe in the last few weeks, right? But I've got something I teach called the path to progress. Someone write in the chat, path, P-A-T-H. When I teach the path to progress is the lesson that I discovered in 2016 that helped me understand why most people are not financially free. It's a simple lesson, okay? It's a simple lesson. It takes some time to teach it. Annie Pani, I see you. It takes me some time to teach it, okay? So I won't be able to go into it in depth in this live. But the path to progress is one of my trainings that I teach people, which basically clarifies and makes it super clear why most people don't generate the wealth they want to generate in their life, all right? It's called the path to progress, right? And the path to progress starts with one step, which is called being able to learn. Now, what most people don't realize is the way that you get able to learn is by developing your ability to hear. So what I'm teaching you guys right now is actually the foundation to one of the foundations that I teach my clients. When I'm teaching my clients, the reason you can't earn is because you haven't decided to learn. They are like, okay, cool, now I've got to learn, right? And then I teach them the path to progress so they know all 4 steps of what they've got to do to earn, right? So they're in a good position. But here's the funniest thing. What if you're not even there yet? You can't even learn yet. You haven't even learned yet because you haven't decided to develop and deploy your skill set around hearing. Because you're still playing in this world of listening. You're listening to this person. Then you're scrolling, listening to that person. Then you're scrolling, listening to that person. Then you're trolling, listening to that person. Then you're scrolling, listening to that person. That is not the appreciation, the internalization, and the activation of the words you're hearing. That's not the appreciation, internalization, and activation of the ways you're observing. That's not the appreciation, internalization, and ultimately the activation, keyword activation, because action takers are money makers. That's not the activation of windows of opportunities you're seeing. Who's hitting the like button like that? Who's hitting the like button? I'm seeing the likes go up right now. Someone's literally trying to take us to 10K on their own. Who is hitting the like button like that? Just say me in the chat. Take a moment and break from that like smashing and just say me so I can say thank you. All right? Factors TV, thank you so much. You can go back to liking the live if it's that good. All right? Okay, Comutima, thank you. I see the V. I just started seeing the like button literally palpitating like a heart. And I'm like, okay, cool. They're taking us to 20,000 in this live. Let's go. Guys, I want you to understand, you can't get to earn. Oh, I need to teach the path to progress right now. Okay, I don't have the time, but I'm gonna do the fastest ever path to progress I've ever taught before. Okay? Hope you guys are paying attention. What's the path to progress? The path to progress is something I discovered. It's inside of the Bible. And when I discovered this, it changed my life. Why did it change my life? It helped me see why most people can't break free financially. What do you mean, Samuel? I'm going to show you right now. Okay? Let's go. Comitiva says, I'm tapping with all my fingers. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Listen, we should be at 10 real quick. We should be at 20 even quicker. Let's go. So I'm going to share with you the path to progress. Maybe it's because of how Factors TV and Common Team are hitting that like button. This is coming out, but let's go. This is the path to progress. Again, like I said, guys, if you guys want to deep dive into this, come and join my 5-day cash flow creation week. We're doing one later on this month. Hit me up in my DMs. Samuel, I want to be a part of the 5-day cash flow creation week. It is an investment. It's a financial investment. Let me be super clear with you, okay? You won't be spending more than £500 to come and participate for the whole week if you're VIP or if you're general, okay? It's less than £500, but it's an investment. Now, let's go in. This is the quick version. In our life, there's a path. That path determines if we will get to progress. What most people desire to do in their life is earn. Most people are attempting to earn. That's what most people are attempting to do. If that's what most people are attempting to do, just put in the chat, yes. Let me know if we're on the same page. Okay? Let's see who's hearing. Are we on the same page? Are most people trying to earn? Earn a degree. Earn some more money. Okay? Earn to be free. Okay? Most people are trying to earn their spouse so they can get them in their house. Okay? Annie Panny says yes. Komutima says yes. Okay, you guys are getting this. Okay? Caitlin says yes. Factors TV says yes. Okay, you guys are getting this. Most people in their life are attempting to earn. Okay? But what most people don't realize is earning doesn't start with earning. Wait, what? Samuel, earning doesn't start with earning? Explain that to me. I will. My youngest son right now is 1. And when he learned to walk, he didn't earn to walk until he first had to learn to walk. Someone write in the chat the word learn. So earning on the path to progress is not the first step. Earning on the path to progress is the last step. The first step is to learn. If you desire or require to have any level of success in your life, any level of what I call progress in your life, it starts with you making a commitment to learn. That's where it starts. If you do not learn, you cannot earn. Someone needs to write that in their notes. If you do not learn, you cannot earn. And when I say learn, I'm not talking about go get a degree. I've studied 4. I'm telling you. I've studied 4, and I'm telling you, I'm not talking about getting a degree. If you do not learn, you cannot earn. Okay, Samuel, give me some more. Someone write in the chat, give me more, okay? Because there's a gap. All of you guys can see there's a gap. There's a massive gap. Someone write in the chat, give me more, okay? If you do not learn, you cannot earn. Annie Panny, let's go. Annie Panny's on it today. Let's go. It's me and Annie Panny in this one. Let's go. And those of you who are hitting the like, I know why you're not commenting. I know exactly what you're doing because I'm seeing that heart palpitate again. Let's go. Okay? We are nearly at 10,000 likes. Let's go. You guys are finishing this thing. You are taking us to our goal. We just hit 8,000. Let's go. So let me tell you what happens. What happens is if you want to earn, if you want to achieve progress in any area of your life, there are 4 stages to achieve that progress. And here's the funniest thing. The part that we all want is the smallest part on the program. The part we want is the earn. The earn is the smallest part on the process. The part we want is the earn. The earn is the smallest part on the journey. Now, I usually draw this as a torch, and the reason I usually draw this as a torch is to help people understand. The reason you have a torch is not for where you are, it's for where the light ends up. Oh, someone's going to catch this. The reason I draw the path to progress as a torch is so people understand I'm not interested in the torch in my hand. I'm using the torch in my hand, my learning, so I can see where I need to get to start earning. Oh, someone's going to catch this. Oh, you guys are taking me away because I said I'm going to be quick. And this don't feel like the 2-minute version. I've never taught this in 2 minutes, so please don't blame me, guys. But let's keep going. The path to progress starts not with earning. The path to progress starts first with learning. So the first thing you have to do is learn. Now, I discovered something when I was reading the Bible one day. I discovered that many people learn, but don't take the second step, so it makes it impossible to earn. So a good question will be, Samuel, what's the second step? I'm so glad you asked. We're about to hit 9,000 likes. Let's go. The second step after you learn is you must make a decision to turn. Turn? Samuel, what are you talking about? This is what I'm talking about. If you study in the Bible, there's a word in the Bible, it's called repent. And the problem we have in society is most people don't understand what that word means. The word repent, here's a quick lesson for you. The word repent does not mean say sorry. Most people think the word repent means say sorry. It doesn't mean say sorry. Thank you guys. We literally just hit 9,000 likes. Let's go all the way to 20,000. Let's do this. The word repent does not mean say sorry. The word repent does not mean apologize. If you would like to know what the word repent actually means, someone write yes in the chat. Let's see if you guys would actually like to know what it means. Because it was my discovery of what the word repent means which helped me understand the path to progress. It literally revealed to me the path to progress. And this is one of the biggest things that changed my life. It helped me realize how things really work. Someone write in the chat the word work. Because if you don't understand how things work, then don't cry when they don't work for you. Factors TV says yes. Annie Panny says yes. Caitlin says yes. Annie Panny says work. Factors TV says work. Let me tell you how it works. The word repent in the Bible doesn't mean say sorry. It doesn't mean apologize. Let me tell you what it means. It means turn and go in another direction. Because if you are committing evil, or even if you're making a mistake that you realize is wrong, what good is it if you apologize? What good is it if you say sorry? If you do not turn and go a new way. When you study in the Bible, you will find this in the Greek, in the Aramaic, in the Hebrew. You will find it for yourself. The word, the definition, the root, the cause of repent does not mean to say sorry or apologize. It means to turn and go another way. Samuel, why is this relevant? I hope you're listening. When I discovered the path to progress changed my life because it made me realize that we all want to earn. And some of us are wise enough to realize we first have to learn, but then the mistake we make is we think the moment we learn, we'll be able to earn. But we don't realize once you learn, you then get the decision and opportunity to turn. You see, learning isn't about earning. Learning is about being given the opportunity to start turning. Someone needed to hear that. Learning isn't about earning. Learning is being given the opportunity to start turning. Pineapple Crush says, huh? Let's go. Pineapple Crush, let me know. Okay? All right, this is good. Pineapple Crush says, confused. All right? Pineapple Crush, help me. Tell me what you're confused about. But I assume you're confused about what I've just shared, so I'm going to break it down even more in here. Like I said, I don't teach this in 2 minutes. I usually take time to teach this. But you guys drew this out as we literally are about to hit 10,000 likes. All right? All right, cool. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Factors TV says, I hear it. Okay? Pineapple Crush says, I'm just trying to get my head around it. So let me help you get your head around it. Because this is my job. My job is to help you get your head around it. Let's go. Annie Penny says, this is a true word. Let's go. Okay? Let's go, guys. I used to smoke. At the age of 13, I began smoking. Specifically smoking cannabis. And at the age of 16, I said to myself, I don't want to smoke anymore. I don't want to smoke anymore. But I was still smoking. Why? Well, first reason why is because there's a difference between listening and hearing, which is where we started in today's session. Some of you are catching this already. We just hit 10,000 likes. Let's keep going, guys. Well done. Congratulations. Okay? We're going to hit 20,000 this live. Let's go. Candle's still lit. Let's go. All right. Good question. Pineapple Crush. Good question. I'm gonna answer your question in a very quick way, right? Because this live's not about that. And if you guys want a live about that, you guys have to ask me for the live about that. But the quick answer is I celebrated my 18th birthday in a prison cell. So that answers the question of how I afforded to be smoking at the age of 13. Okay? So just so everybody knows, right? Now, I started smoking at the age of 13. Okay, you're saying sorry. You know what? At that time, I probably needed the sorry. Okay, but right now, I'm so glad that happened to me. I don't think I would have studied 4 degrees if I didn't celebrate my 18th birthday in prison. I don't think I would have married the woman I married if I didn't celebrate. Like, guys, I don't think you guys understand, right? What some people call a virus later becomes a whole world's value. What some people call poison later becomes the rest of the world's precious jewels. In our last live, we spoke about Nelson Mandela spending multiple decades in prison and coming out to become the leader of his nation. I want you guys to understand, like, I get it. No one wants to celebrate their 18th birthday in prison. I didn't want to celebrate my 18th birthday in prison. But let me tell you something. When you mature, when you become someone who can hear, you recognize that what you went through doesn't have to be a negative for you. It can become the fuel for what you're really going to do. Hopefully someone's getting this. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And you're right, Pineapple Crush. I agree with that as well. I agree with that as well. Regardless of the experience I had, I definitely agree with that as well. Okay? No, like in my opinion, I get it. 18, you know, whatever. But in my mind, an 18-year-old's still a child, right? No 18-year-old, no child should be in prison. And what's crazy is that when I was sent to prison, we drove past a prison that was for younger people than the prison I was going to. And there was a specific boy who grew up in my area. At the time he was 14, he was in that prison. So I was going to prison feeling sorry for people like him. But regardless, no child should be in prison, okay? So whether that's work we need to do with parents, whether it's work we need to do with adults, like there's work that we need to do. Let me just put it that way. There's work we need to do. As a community, there's work we need to do. That's why I do what I do. That's why I show up live. That's why 5 days ago, when William, one of my ex-students from when I used to be a teacher, jumped in the live and was like, Mr. Kimwin, my guy, you used to teach us this stuff in school. When I was supposed to be teaching them maths, I was teaching them business strategies and structures so they can move further faster in their future. Why? Because I recognized what I didn't have as a 13-year-old, which led me to choose what I was doing as a 13-year-old. So let's go deeper. If we can go deeper, someone write the word deeper. Let's go. Pineapple Crush came to just hijack the live. Let's go. I love that. So we're going to go deeper. So we said earning is what most people want. Annie Panny, I see you. Earning is what most people want. But most people think when they learn, they're going to be able to earn. I'm here to tell you when you learn, it doesn't give you permission to earn. Pineapple Crush said, Samuel, I don't understand that. Can you make it clearer? Here's the clarity. When I was 13, I started smoking. Fast forward to the age of 16, I wanted to give up smoking. But for some reason, I wasn't able to give up smoking. I'd say to myself, I don't want to smoke anymore, but I'd still smoke. Now, I could go down the whole spiritual conversation because there's a whole deep spiritual conversation on this, but now's just not the time. So if you ever hear me tell this story in the future and it gets way deeper, just know it's because I didn't have the time right now. But at the age of 17, 18, and then fast forward, just before I turned 19, so I was 18 years old, just before I turned 19, I went through an experience and I decided that although I had learned that I wanted to give up smoking, I had to make a conscious decision and turn in order to give up smoking. Learning gives you the decision to be able to make. Learning is the presentation of your ulterior option. That's all learning is. We think learning is earning. We think, oh, I've learned it, so now I should earn from it. You are not qualified to earn just because you decided to learn. The reason you learn is so you get the opportunity to turn. What do you mean turn, Samuel? Turn because if you do what you've always done, you can only get what you've always got. So when you learn to be presented with options so you can turn and start doing something you've never done so you can start getting something you've never got. Pineapple Crush, let me know if you understand what we're talking about now. Let's go. So this is how it starts on the path to progress, right? Now, let's finish the path to progress so you guys see how it works. So if you desire to have any level of progress in any area of your life, someone in the chat, write a word to represent an area of your life that you desire to have more progress, okay? And this is a non-discrimination zone, non-judgmental zone, okay? Just literally just throw in the chat. Let's go, okay? Pineapple Crush says, yes, I'm following. Let's go. All right. So you guys, I want you to throw in the chat. Just throw in the chat one word in an area of your life that you want to develop. One word is in an area of your life that you want to have progress. Okay. For most people that follow me, that's probably going to be finances. A whole bunch of people follow me because of creating consistent and colossal cash flow, right? But just throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat. All right. Factors TV. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Sorry, champ. All right. I don't know what that is. So yeah, if you can, just elaborate so I know exactly. I want to be able to at least know what you're talking about, right? All right. So most people have areas in their life where they desire to have progress. But before, I love this, all right? Pineapple Crush says reciprocal relationships. Love that, right? Caitlin says in finance and in discipline. Thank you guys, all right? This is beautiful, okay? And for those of you who haven't heard what I'm saying, you haven't appreciated, internalized, and activated, okay? So the action is to write the comment, okay? Like, that's gonna help you, all right? I love that, Pineapple Crush. Instead of parasites, love that, okay? So here's what's gonna happen. Let's take Caitlin's. Caitlin says, listen, Samuel, I want to have progress in my finances. Okay, so here's what Caitlin's gonna have to do. First, Caitlin is gonna have to learn something about her finances she hasn't learned yet about her finances. Then when she learns something about her finances that she hasn't learned yet, Factors TV, I see you, Forex, that makes sense, okay? So is XAU gold? Is that a ticker symbol? I assume that's a ticker symbol now that I realize you're talking about Forex. Okay, but Forex is foreign exchange. So XAU is Aussie dollar. Okay, yes, sir. All right, I see you. All right, cool. So, okay, I thought it was gold. All right, perfect. All right, cool. All right, so let's go deeper. Okay. So Caitlin says, Samuel, I want progress in my finances. So here's what's gonna have to happen. First, Caitlin's gonna have to learn something new about her finances. Okay. When she learns something new, that gives her the opportunity. That's all it gives her. It doesn't give her the earnings in her finances. It gives her the opportunity to turn. That means choose something new. Okay? So I'll give you an example. I'm going to give all of you an opportunity right now. Simple opportunity. If anyone inside of this live wants to develop their cash flow so it can become either more consistent or become colossal, direct message me and come and join my upcoming 5-day cash flow creation week. It's less than £500 to become a VIP. It's less than £250 to just join as a general participant. And however you join, you are going to get more than 10 times what you pay in terms of value. And if you join as a VIP, you're also going to get our better than 10 times money back guarantee. Better than 10 times money back guarantee. Samuel, how does that work? This is how it works. If you show up to class each day as a VIP, and you are in the class with your camera on each and every session, so we know that you're actually paying attention, and you get to the end of the week and you say, Samuel, I don't think this was worth 10 times what I paid. I don't think this was worth 10 times. Someone write in the chat, 10x. If you get to the end of the week and you say, Samuel, I don't believe this was worth 10 times what I paid, we will give you all your money back. Okay? So that's the way we make sure that if it's not valuable for you, we do not want to take your money. And to us, valuable means 10 times more. Now, you might be saying, Samuel, how do you say 10 times more has to be valuable? Even if you give me 2 times more, I think it's valuable. No, I don't deal with that economy because I read the Bible, and the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. I believe in that economy, okay? So if I'm not providing someone 10 times more than what they pay, I don't want their money. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to someone, okay? If that makes sense, someone write in the chat, I'm getting it, okay? Let me know if you guys are getting it. Now, why am I explaining this? Because, do you see what's just happened there? You guys are in the live and you're learning. So what happens naturally when you're learning? You get an opportunity to start turning. What's turning? Turning is doing something different to what you've done before. Turning is, oh, you know what? I heard this stuff and it was really good. And you know what? I'm just going to be on the next live tomorrow. I'm just going to be on the next live the day after. I'm just going to, you see, are you going to do something different? Are you going to turn? Because learning is not for learning's sake. Learning is actually for turning's sake. Now, some people have made a mistake and thought when they learn and they turn, they then qualify to earn. Can I tell you the truth? If I can tell you the truth, someone write in the chat the word truth, 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 truth. Here's the truth that's going to help you. John chapter 8, verse 32, it says the truth will make you free. Here's the truth that will make you free. The truth that will make you free is when you learn and you turn, it doesn't qualify you to earn. Now, I know there's people out there who are going to lie to you. I know there's people out there who are going to say to you, oh no, the moment you learn what I teach you, you're going to earn. Nope. That's not the truth. It's not the truth. It's not biblically founded. I'm telling you principles, patterns, and precepts that are from the literal book of prophecies. This is the truth. Do you want the truth or do you want me to just lie to you? Let me tell you how it works. You learn, so you get to decide if you turn. So when I decided at the age of 18 to give up smoking, that was my turning point. But at that point, I didn't earn the title of non-smoker. If someone met me 3 weeks after I had given up smoking, like actually happened, what do you think they're going to do? I'm going to tell you what one of my friends did. 3 weeks after I had given up smoking, he offered me something to smoke. Does this make sense? If this makes sense for someone, just write in the chat, I'm getting it. Please understand this. You think because you learn something and even you are wise enough to turn, that automatically you're now going to earn. It doesn't work like that. You don't earn because you learn. And you don't even earn because you turn. There's one more step. Someone write in the chat, one more step. In the path to progress, this is how it works. You learn, which gives you the opportunity to turn. And then after you turn, you make a decision that most people never make. And that decision is to become stern. When you make the decision to become stern, that is when you now qualify to be able to earn. You see, I have met people when I was studying my first degree, when I was studying my second degree, when I was studying my third degree, and even when I was studying my fourth degree, that if I ever said to them I used to smoke, they would say, well, wait, what, you? Some of you's on this live. When I mentioned that I used to smoke at the age of 13, some of you's on this live were thinking, no, how can this guy who's got all this energy be someone that ever smoked? Do you know why? Because I'm not in the learn phase of giving up smoking. I'm not in the turn phase of giving up smoking. I've spent so much time in the stern phase of giving up smoking that I have qualified into the earn phase. I'm a non-smoker. I'm a non-smoker. And this is the same for your wealth. This is the same for your health. This is the same for your relationships. It's the same. Let's go. Let's go. Factors TV. I'm loving this. I'm 19 and I'm trying to give it up. Let's go. Let's go. This is why I do this, guys. This is why I do this. Okay? And let me tell you, all you have to do, Factors TV, let me know in the chat what's your name. I like to address people by their name. I'm super old school. I can't do all these weird online names. All right? Let me know your name so I can address you properly. But listen, here's what I'm going to say to you. There's a simple process, and I just showed you the process. It's the same process that's going to make you financially free. It's the same process that's going to change you and allow you to start having strong, successful relationships. It's the same process that's going to assist you, whether it's in the Forex trading that you mentioned, whether it's trading gold like you mentioned. It doesn't make a difference. Why? Because formulas work all the time, every time. Formulas, frameworks, and functions always work. Principles, patterns, and precepts always work. If you jump off a building, there is a law called the law of gravity, which equals that person goes splat. Someone's going to say, oh no, but Samuel, sometimes if you jump off of a building, maybe you can reverse and no, you can't. Because there's a law called gravity. Do you know what the law of gravity is? It's a formula. You know what the law of gravity is? It's a function. You know what the law of gravity is? It's a framework that has been embedded into this world by God. And if you start discovering the patterns and discovering the principles and discovering the practices that the Bible literally outlines for us so we can win, oh Lord, your life, my life, our lives, any single person's life, if you got children, your children's lives will win. They will win. They will change. And you'll see your finances rearrange. You'll see your relationships rearrange. You'll see people stop acting strange as your situation starts to become plain. Guys, it's time to win. I'm excited. I'm excited. Factors TV says, my name is Ayush. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Factors TV, let me know in the chat if I'm pronouncing that right. Ayush. Let's go. I love this. Komitima says, Ayush, you are on the right platform. Don't give up. Let's go. All right. This is, guys, this is the house of winners. If you're a winner, you're in the right house. And if you're working on becoming a winner, you're in the right house. This is where we help people create consistent and colossal cash flow using resources and revenues hidden in plain sight by giving them the principles, the frameworks, the factors, the precepts that are all right. Let's go. All right. Should we jump back in? Let's jump back in. You guys took me on. You took me to the side to start breaking down the path to progress. So that was the path to progress. Okay. Now, why is the path to progress powerful? I'm going to tell you why the path to progress is powerful. The path to progress helps us understand what I was sharing with you guys, that once you start to hear, you develop your ability to hear, you enhance your leadership, but then you also enhance your learning. And without learning, there can be no earning. Without learning, you can't start turning. If there is no learning, how can you become stern? You see, you guys are catching it now. E Cosmios in the house. It's been a minute, my sister. Welcome to the live. Let's go. Okay? I want you guys to understand how this works. Okay? We have to learn. It's the first part of the process that allows us to turn. Learning is not the answer to earning. Learning is the open door to decide to start turning. If you have a bad habits, bad eating habits, and you learn how to lose weight, how do you lose weight? Eat less, move more. Simple. Simple. It's a simple formula. Eat less, move more. But you're not just going to lose weight, hashtag earn, because you learn to eat less and move more. You're going to lose weight because after you learn that you're supposed to eat less and move more, you're then going to turn, which is when you make the practical decision to actually eat less and to actually move more. If someone's getting what I'm talking about, just write in the comments, I'm getting it. So I know you guys are getting it. So the reason we learn is so we can be in the position to turn. And then when we turn, guess what happens? We got a journey ahead of us because we have to prove to the atmosphere that we're not going back. We got to prove to the atmosphere that we're not going to walk with slack. And how do you do that? You don't just turn, that's when you become stern. That's when you show the whole world, this is my lane. I'm winning in this game. And guess what happens? You don't even have to open the door. The door is opened for you automatically once you become stern for you to earn. Now, if you guys are understanding this, the path to progress, you now understand why hearing is so powerful. Because if we don't develop our ability to hear, we cannot qualify to even learn. Oh, I'm excited right now. Let's go into something. I'm going to read something to you. Proverbs chapter 8. Okay, let's write this down. Let me get this for you. Proverbs 8, verse 33, I believe this one is. Let's go. Okay, we're talking about hearing today. For those of you who are just jumping in, we're talking about hearing and how hearing is not listening and how hearing is literally the super jet rocket to your success. And if you develop your hearing, the first thing we said is it's going to enhance your leadership. And if you let's go. I love that. Comitiva says, I can win and I will win. Let's go. All right. If you develop your hearing, it's going to develop and enhance first and foremost your leadership. But if you develop your hearing, straight after that, it's going to develop and enhance your learning. Okay? How's it going to develop and enhance your learning? Let's go. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 33. I'm going to show you right now. Proverbs 8:33 says, hear instruction. What's instruction? What to do. Okay? Listen to this. And be wise. What? Samuel, that's crazy. Are you being serious? Yes. Proverbs 8:33 tells you a secret. It says if you hear what to do and it creates you being wise. What? Just by hearing what to do? Yes, because what I was sharing with you guys earlier. Hearing makes the things in front start clearing. So if you hear what to do, guess what's going to happen? You're going to become wiser. Let's go. We just hit 15,000 likes. You guys are doing this thing. 5,000 likes away from the target. Let's go. Hear instruction and be wise. Listen to this. And refuse it not. So here's a little lesson. What would you say if I told you that the problem is not that you don't know what to do, but it's that you will refuse to do it? This is what Proverbs 8:33 reveals to us. It reveals to us that if we hear instruction, we become wise. If we hear instruction, we become wise. Samuel, why is this so powerful? Because the first thing that hearing develops is our leadership. But the second thing that our hearing develops is our learning. When you start developing your ability to hear, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start being given opportunities to lead. And you're going to be saying to yourself, how comes people are happy for me to lead them now? They were happy for you to lead them before. The only problem was you was not hearing the opportunities. Samuel, what is hearing? For those of you who are just jumping in now. Hearing is the appreciation, the internalization, and ultimately the activation of words, of ways, and of windows that have been shared. Windows of what, Samuel? Windows of opportunity. Before you were hearing, the opportunity was there, but you wasn't hearing. So you weren't able to appreciate. You weren't able to internalize. You weren't able to activate the window of opportunity right in front of you. Oh, if someone's getting it, throw in the chat, I'm getting it. Guys, this is why some people are struggling in their finances. Because they've never just developed their ability to hear. They're being led astray. So thus they're learning things the wrong way. Rather than taking a step back and saying, hold on a minute, am I happy with the results I'm getting? And if your answer is no, then do something different. Do what different, Samuel? Walk on the path to progress. That's the first start. Start to learn so that you can decide to turn, so that you can commit to becoming stern, and so that in the area we're talking about, whether it's in the area of Forex, whether it's in the area of finance and discipline, whether it's in the area of reciprocal relationships, you can finally begin to earn. Let me know in the chat if you guys are getting this. It's that simple. It's that simple, ladies and gents. It's that simple, my people. So we get a gift when we start working on our hearing. The first gift is we start to develop our leadership. The second gift is we get to develop our learning. People start looking at us thinking, how did you know that? How did you learn that? Where did they teach that? Where did you hear that lesson? How comes you think like that? Do you know why they say that to you? Because you developed your ability to hear. When you develop your ability to start hearing, guess what's going to happen? The way is going to start clearing. People are going to listen to you speak and think you know stuff they don't know, but they don't know why you know it. We went to the same school. We went to the same university. We worked at the same workplace. I even got the promotion before you. How comes you know that stuff and I don't know that stuff? Because you have developed your skill of hearing, whilst they didn't allow their path to start clearing. If anyone's ready for the third thing that happens when we start developing our hearing, throw in the chat the number free, 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 free. Let's go. Because it's not just about leadership and it's not just about learning. When we start going on this journey to develop our hearing, there is another thing that starts happening. And for those of you who are like me, who truly believe that God wants you to have consistent and have colossal cash flow, I believe that with every iota of my heart, that the Bible shows us the direct formulas, the direct frameworks, and the direct foundations on how we can have consistent and colossal cash flow. Guys, I want you to understand, I did not make up the stuff I teach people. I discovered the stuff I teach people. I want you to understand that. Jess, thank you for following the host. Okay? I didn't make up the way I teach people. I discovered the way I teach people. And I'm about to share with you the third thing that we get. Caitlin says free. Let's go. I'm about to share with you the third thing that we get when we develop our hearing. And not hearing like you thought of hearing, but hearing like I've shown you throughout this live, hearing actually is. We are on 15,000 likes. Let's hit that target of 20,000. Let's go, guys. Because the first thing that happens when we develop our hearing is our leadership enhances. The second thing that happens when we develop our hearing is our learning advances. And this is when you start being that person that starts asking yourself, should I stay in this room? Because I feel like I'm the smartest person in this room. You know why that happens? It happens because you've developed your ability to hear, and now your pathway becomes more clear. To those of you who are saying, you know what, you want better relationships. Let me see who that was, right? Pineapple Crush, reciprocal relationships. Let me tell you this, okay? Reciprocal relationships are easy to find when you get better at hearing. Because guess what's going to happen? You're going to hear when people are like you. And you're going to know if those people are like you, then they're people that you're willing to invest into. But if you don't develop your hearing, you're going to struggle with that. Okay? Finances. I believe that was Caitlin. Finances and discipline. It's the same thing. Develop your hearing. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to start hearing opportunities and be like, wow, I never noticed that before. If I tap into that, that could actually produce a 10x result for me. This is how you level up, guys. This is how you level up. Develop your hearing, okay? So let's go deeper now. Now that you guys have got it, if you guys have got it, just write in the chat, ready, 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 ready. Because this is my favorite of all three nuggets, value bombs, gems that we get when we start developing our hearing. This is literally my favorite, okay? Because the one most people don't talk about, it's the one most people don't even know is about. So let's go. If you guys are ready, let me see the word ready in the chat. And let me see those likes blowing up, right? Because the third one we get is my good friend, leverage. When you take the opportunity in your life to start focusing on developing your hearing ability, the first thing that starts happening is you start expanding your capacity for leadership. The second thing that starts happening is you start enhancing your ability for learning. But the third thing that starts happening is you start positioning yourself for leverage. Now, some of you guys may not know what leverage means. So let's talk about leverage a little bit so it's super clear. Leverage is our ability to do a little work and get paid a lot. Okay, so someone write in the chat, little work. All right, someone else write in the chat, paid a lot. Okay, this is what leverage is. Leverage is our ability to do a little work but get paid a lot. Okay, now some of you are going to feel uncomfortable with this. I know, because some of you have only spent all of your life working a job, so it's going to feel uncomfortable. Annie Panny, I see you. Okay, some of you are going to feel super uncomfortable writing little work paid a lot. You're going to feel like you're stealing. Okay, I understand. Okay, should I explain to you how leverage works? Okay, because if you don't know this, I'm going to tell you a secret. If you are not leveraging, you are being leveraged. Okay, that's a good note to write in your notepad. And I'm going to say it again in case you need to pick up your pen. If you are not leveraging, you are being leveraged. Okay, I hope you understand that. Jess throws in the badge. Thank you for the badge, Jess. Please understand that, guys. And please remember, we have a target of 20,000 likes in this live. I'm just saying, okay? And for those of you who are just joining the live now, if Jess didn't throw that rose in, I wouldn't remember. If you are getting value, feel free to follow the host. Feel free to subscribe so you can be a part of the tribe. Feel free to hit the like. And if you truly care about some of the people out there, why don't you press share so they can hear what we're talking about up in here? Okay? Annie Panny, thank you for the rose. Appreciate you. All right? So you guys are throwing the badges in. Let's go. What most of us don't understand is leverage is how we do little work, but we get paid a lot. And I know for some of you this might feel uncomfortable, so I'm going to break this down. If I can break it down, someone write in the chat, break it down, okay? So let's start to break it down, okay? Here's a question to help you think about this. Do the people that work the hardest get paid the most? Someone told me in the chat. Do the people that work the hardest get paid the most? Someone told me in the chat. You see, my first degree was a degree in computing and statistics. And then the second degree I studied was my first master's. That was a master's in statistics. Now, when you study mathematical subjects like statistics, most of the time, your lecturers, your teachers are telling you or positioning you to go into finance, okay? Now, there's a very interesting thing about finance, okay? Because every one of my degrees, I was going to say most, but it's every one of them. Every one of my degrees I studied in London, okay? In London universities. So if you are thinking about finance and you're in London, you're thinking about 1 Canada Square, okay? And if you guys don't know what 1 Canada Square is, 1 Canada Square is that big building that lots of people call Canary Wharf, but the building is not called Canary Wharf, okay? Just so you know. The building is called 1 Canada Square. The area is called Canary Wharf, okay? But at one point, this was the biggest or tallest building in the whole of definitely the UK, okay? I think in the whole of Europe when it was built, okay? 1 Canada Square. So what happens if you study mathematical subjects is you start getting positioned to go to Canary Wharf and to work in a bank in 1 Canada Square. And one day something dawned upon me. Let's go, guys. We literally just hit 16,000 likes. I see you guys. Let's go. So one day, I'm studying my master's in statistics. I'm talking to my lecturer, and in my mind, this idea of going into finance, it's always been pushed on me from my undergraduate degree and now also in my first master's. And as I'm thinking about finance, the thought came to my mind, okay? So I'm gonna share this thought, and then you're gonna see Annie Panny's 100% right, okay? And Jess said I should break it down, so you're gonna get the breakdown right now. The thought came to my mind. There's cleaners that clean that 1 Canada Square building. And I don't know if you know this, but traders trade in that 1 Canada Square building.